you're the best
person for this.
this. Yeah. And I will start. Do you support feminism? Why or why not?
I support certain parts of feminism. And feminism it's hard to talk about because it's this huge term and there's many different kinds of feminism.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a hard question to answer. But what I do support is anything that allows women to have solidarity, right? Like a sense of togetherness and being united and,
Yeah.
and I think that's why feminism is good. But I think the problem can be that people misinterpret feminism to mean like anti-men. Like anti-men, like men are bad, and that's not true. Like that's not how it works. And so I feel like feminism is good if it doesn't lead to women against men. It should be everybody together, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
right.
how do you? It's kind of silly to call it feminism when it should just be like peopleism,
People, yeah,
right?
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think it's good ultimately.
Yeah. Okay. And the next question is there a relationship between gender and industry design?
Yes. Well, I mean, gender is sort of like it's everywhere, right? When is it not relevant? But in how does it affect industrial design specifically? That's a good question.
You can give an example that gender will infect a design. Or
Well, what is between gender and industrial design? Well, for industrial designers, like people in our position, I think
yeah.
there can be some biases along the lines of gender in terms of, as a woman, people might assume that you're interested in these kinds of products or like this kind of work. Like, oh, you're a woman, therefore you like designing things for women and things that are girly and you like color a lot. And that maybe people would assume that because you're a woman, maybe that you don't like to work in the metal shop or you don't like to do big projects, things, but that all of these things aren't true, right?
Yeah.
So those are some assumptions that are problematic. But it's also, I don't know, it's important to think of when you're designing products. Are you designing for everyone, men, women, everyone in between? Or are you trying to specifically design
for a group of people.
or like
Target
just
people.
women or like a target?
Users.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not experienced enough as an industrial designer to say, but
I think you're good industry designer.
Thanks.
I think maybe it's related to the target user, and maybe the target user will related to the gender.
Yeah, that's a good point because also gender means different things to different people, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're like a cis male, right? Like a straight man, you probably don't think about gender that much, right? Because you're just like, oh, I'm here. But if you're like, say, transgender, or your gender identity is a little bit more complex, it's something you think about every day, right? So, and everything that happens to you is in that framework of like, how does it relate to my gender?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see in the future how the LGBTQ community would be involved in product design because we have like pink things for girls and blue things for boys. It's like that's starting to become really irrelevant and kind of not the way we think about things. So what does it mean if you make a pink product? What does it mean if you make a blue product?
Maybe it will change in the future, you mean?
Yeah, like what if everything's just purple?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And how can feminism affect the development of industry design in the future? I have pointed that feminism is a kind of angry word. Now.
Yeah.
So I don't know how will this word develop in the future. So I made this question.
Right, because we said it with question one that there's many different kinds of feminism, right? It's not all like bad and it's not all good.
Yeah.
So I think the good aspects of feminism going forward could do so much to include more women in the design process, like, you know, have more women designing, more women acknowledged for the designs they do,
Ah,
but also get women more involved in communicating what they want out of products, right?
yeah.
Like that, I think that would be something really great to have in the future, is more female consumers participating in product design.
I mean, users.
Yes. So had to have female users be less passive, so they can ask more questions and state more requirements, and, you know, this is what I need from a product.
Yeah.
We don't have that so much.
Yeah.
We do a little bit, but only for things that are like very specifically women, like tampon advertisements or things to do with pregnancy. You know, they're like, oh yes, like we've thought about all the things you need from this product, but it's like, yeah, we also need scissors and cups, like things that aren't just
Just more general, we also need that kind of feminist design.
with all products, right?
all products,
It's not just things that like, oh, only a woman would need this.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because how is it fair?
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And the first question is, have you ever seen a feminist design?
Ever seen feminist design?
It's hard to recall.
Yeah. I think a successful feminist design would be one in which I don't think about feminism, right?
I think feminists. I think some design are made for feminists only to let people concerned about feminism.
Right, like as commentary.
Yeah. But not really designed for female.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's
Right.
true. I don't think I can. I don't know if I can give you an example. I'd have to think about it more.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay.
But that's a really interesting question.
And how you judge that kind of feminist design, but not female, design for female?
Right.
Yeah, how you judge them?
Feminist design versus female design. This is super complicated. Like, because you have to, in order to ask a question, or in order to answer a question like this, you have to define what female means. Right?
Yeah. For example.
Because femininity and being a woman are not necessarily the same, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hard. Can we come back to it?
Okay, of course we can. And do you know WD plus RU? It's called Women Design Research Unit.
This WDRU.
Yeah, it's an organization for Women Research Unit.
Cool.
A Women Design Research Unit. And it was established like in 19th centuries. In the early 19th centuries, and at that time, women designers are not that respectful.
Right.
Yeah, but for now, do you think this kind of organization will tag these female designers as a special group, like disabilities? Disabilities, yeah.
Ultimately, I don't think it's helpful for female designers to be called female designers, right? Like as a category. Like we have the same problem as musicians, like as composers, right? I'm a composer, and people always refer to me as a female composer, right? It's like, why can't I just be a composer? Like a male composer is not a man composer.
Yeah.
He's a composer, right? And so there's like a famous quote that's like, if you're gonna call me a female composer, you also have to call me a brown-haired composer, right? Because to make a classification along those lines of gender implies that one might be better than the other, or one is more normal than the other, which is true. Like, it is more normalized to have men be composers, designers, architects, and so we always put on the prefix of like, oh, but she's a lady.
Yeah.
Why do we have to say?
Yeah.
Why? It can.
Sometimes people would say Italy like they are appreciate
Yeah,
her,
but it's
actually
condescending,
it is
right?
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what.
because we should just be designers, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if categorizing is always good. I think if a female designer is concerned with her users knowing that she's a woman, her designs should do that,
Yeah,
not her title,
not her title, not herself. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
But it's also weird to say, like, you see a product and be like, oh, I can tell a woman designed that. Like,
Yeah.
how on what basis would you be able to say
Yeah.
that? But
Yeah, this is the question that I just answered. I just asked.
mhm.
Yeah. Because I think this kind of group will tag these female designers as a special group, like they are different, but actually men, women are equally. So I think they have some bad effects too.
Yeah, I think it is ultimately sort of damaging because if you're making like a small group as like you tagging this group, it's a small amount, right? It's not every woman designer. So you're like marking off a group of women specifically. It's like, look, these are women and they're designers, and we're calling them that because they're doing what we want as women designers, right? Like, I'm a woman designer, and what if I was making things that people didn't like coming from me? Then I wouldn't be in that group. But that doesn't make me a non-female designer, right? So
Yeah.
we have like the same problem, I think, like with race all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a history book and you see all these African Americans throughout history, and it's like, oh look, like the first African American to do this, the first African American to do that. It's like those are all of the people who were behaving well
Yeah.
for history book, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like the same here.
Yeah.
It's like if you're in that group of like lady designers because you're acting a certain way that people want. Like that's what they want from a female designer.
Yeah, it's just like you call something black. Black is also a title, like
Yeah.
a bad title.
Yeah. We don't need to have any, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have got some. I think we can end the.
Well, thanks.